Hey folks, it is August 8th, 11:33 p.m. One more video about all this serious stuff that I've been doing videos about, the FBI, CIA here. I am looking forward to getting this done. As a point, anybody who is spoken to by the FBI and they talk shit about me, especially in regards to this rape framing, ask them ask to see the video that they have. They had cameras in my bedroom. This whole thing's being done behind my back. They have that supposed event on tape, yet they've never shown it to anybody, and there's a reason why. It's because it never happened the way they said it did. It's against their narrative. Another key point, asked them if I was saying to people that I knew that my ex was an undercover cop, or a cop. She was studying to be a cop and was a cop for all intents and purposes. Ask them. Ask the FBI if they knew that. And this is before my ex had a post-traumatic flashback in the bedroom. Ask them if I was saying to people I thought my apartment was bugged. Ask them. And again, that is before my ex had a post-traumatic flashback in the bedroom. Ask them if this guy, Robert, who I believe to be an FBI agent, who I was saying everybody is FBI agent, ask him. Ask him, was I saying that? Did he give me a TV? Did I destroy the TV and get rid of it because I thought it was bugged? These are just some of the problems the FBI has if we go into a courtroom. And this is just part of why they will not go into a courtroom. They get away with the lying by saying, hey, we're FBI and this is the story. And they tell people to not speak with me about it, to not find out, and they go on lying about it. They've used this technology, remote neural monitoring, for creating hit pieces, which they again take out of context and misuse. And they don't tell anybody, hey, we're misusing this technology for getting these in the first place. Never mind that they're then lying on top of that. But again, ask about the situation. I've got my father on video in regards to this. I was saying to him 30 years ago, back when they were accusing me, my ex had a post-traumatic flashback in the bedroom. I'm not psychic. And yet here we are, more than 2 decades later, I got my ex on cassette admitting to the fact that she had more post-traumatic flashbacks in the bedroom. Well, how is that? If I was lying, that's a hell of a lie for me to be telling, and then for it to come true later. You understand? So another point, how much sense does it make to have this technology on me, and I would lie about it? You understand? If you understand where I'm at in regards to people, I don't give a fuck about 99% of the people out here. I not only don't give a fuck about them, people, it better be fucking careful with me. And people have got to, but you've got to think about what you do when you're asked to do something by the FBI, and you've got to think about it from the sake of your own fucking ass. Because I've watched the FBI use everybody. You can look at my first book, Don't Tread on Me, by Dante Kalidas. Kali is the Hindu goddess, Kali, then a separate word, Das, D-A-S. And you can look up my first book, and all the information is in the last third of the book. All of the lying and manipulating done by the FBI. Real simple. So, and that's just some of the points. Then we've got the situation with my ex Dawn being a hardcore narcissist. We're talking heavy, pathological narcissist. And I dated 3, so, that's it. I won't say what I would do if I ended up with another, as a girlfriend, which I won't. But, if I were to end up with one more sick person like this, I could say something here, but I won't. I was known as the guy that helps the old woman, the old lady cross the street. And quite frankly, the women I dated here, who the FBI have used and exploited for their own purposes, were known for being, I'll put this nicely, they were known for not being good people. We'll leave it at that. So now what I want to do is get into the mistakes here of the FBI agents I deal with. I came back to Germany in 2014. I had sent off a file and cassettes to German agencies and to the FBI in 2014. June 1st, I returned to America here, to this town. Excuse me. And I ended up dealing with these agents. I can tell it's the same agents based on their incompetence, the sloppiness, the arrogance, and more. But those are the key tells here. So I had sent off information agencies, and I was saying, Horvat's getting away with a cover-up. And what had happened was Horvat got in touch with these agents who she cherry-picked. Guaranteed. That one's absolutely guaranteed. She cherry-picked these agents. She picked an agent in charge who she knew would fuck up. And she picked a narcissist. And, there's a lot I could say about this. But she knew that this individual would fuck up and fuck up royally. And Horvat contacted these agents months before I came back to America. I'm guessing minimum of 4. And I suspect, I suspect 5 or 6, by the way. And Horvat just sold her fake file to these agents and lied about me and misused technology on me while lying to these FBI agents here. And the way it works is when you go from one town to the next, the two groups of agents collaborate. The agents in charge collaborate, and they slowly hand over the reins from one group of agents to the next agents in the next town that I am going to. So in other words, the agents start to get their feet wet and get a feel for me before I go to their town. And the reality is Horvat and her officers got away with lying to these agents beyond belief. I returned to America. They had a lot of technology on me, and the whole thing was a disaster. I realized these agents were not only not awake, but just an absolute joke. That's not even good enough wording. Instead of finding out my side of the story and what I have to say and looking at my memories, any of it, they had already made up their mind before I got back to America, before I got to America. And I got here June 1st, 2014. And there was no being objective. There was no, okay, let's see what he's got and let's take a look at what he's saying. There was none of that. It was just this really arrogant, just a know-it-all attitude, and just a lording it over me and misusing technology heavily, you name it. They were way off on another planet, believing all sorts of shit that they were told by Horvat and her officers. They didn't want to hear a damn thing. I ended up leaving July 20th. I returned back to Germany due to good circumstances, and I moved to a different town so that Horvat and her officers were not in charge. And this is important. All of this is important for field agents that I have dealings with to understand. This is actually important information because what you'll see here, and as I will get to in regards to many different points, this may take a couple of videos. It shouldn't take more than 2. But what you'll see is that the agents I deal with, they've been incompetent. And the incompetence is based on the psychology of the agent in charge. They don't want to deal with that, then don't. If you're a field agent, though, I'm going to give you the same tip that I've given to others. You got to do what you're told by these agents, but it doesn't mean you have to believe what you are told. And that's the best tip I can give to anybody. keep objective, and you can find out from me the real story of what was going on in Germany with the CIA. These agents have made no attempt. That's an understatement. This agent has been so arrogant that they've literally been dictating to me experiences which they weren't there for. And because they got lied to in their file, it's the way they have chosen to believe, as opposed to my being there and them getting real readings with technology. You know what they've done in those circumstances? They've shit-canned their technology readings. And they've said, oh, well, you've been tricked into believing that. This is how incompetent and stupid these agents are. And again, it has to do with the psychology of the agent in charge. And at this point, you know, as I've been saying to them, there's no way in hell you'll ever admit to your mistakes here. And they haven't. It's, oh no, we didn't screw up, you did. And there is nothing but mistakes that's been committed by these agents. So, you know, for anybody that I deal with, field agents, I recommend you wait until I end up dealing with some real FBI agents, as opposed to these jokes and impersonators and, you know, shell of FBI agents, which they are. Whatever training they had, they shit-canned years ago, just like your combat training and your hand-to-hand combat training. You know, anything involving martial arts and your training there. A lot of y'all, you're going to lose that over time. Well, these people, they lost all sorts of stuff and they shit-canned all sorts of things years ago, and it's blatantly obvious. I dealt with real agents. You know, I use that in a certain way when referring to the CIA. They're all a bunch of fuck-ups in one way. But they were way better than the idiots I'm dealing with now. And quite frankly, everybody I've dealt with has been more intelligent than these agents. You understand? So, and I'm not just saying that. You know, as a point, last time I was here, I was saying to these agents, you're the dumbest agents I ever dealt with. And it was communicated to me, well, you're just saying that because you're angry. They didn't get, no, you're actually the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever dealt with. You understand? So, hang on. And I bring that up in a lot of videos because it's a major tell in regards to who I'm dealing with here. They're too busy being clever, and they've shit-canned all sorts of common sense for their viewpoints. Their viewpoints have not been checked. Their viewpoints have not been verified. This one has been blatantly obvious all the way. The agent in charge and those underneath the agent in charge, they felt what to believe first, and then that's what they've chosen their thinkings on, based on their feelings. You understand? As opposed to looking and finding out and making sure that there's nothing wrong with all of this in the first place. Absolute amateur shit. They went on, that what they decided to do is feel what to believe, as opposed to looking and finding out. And then basing their beliefs based on having looked and finding out. Do you understand? It's absolute amateur shit. And it sure as hell is compared to the CIA agents I dealt with. And quite frankly, any other group of FBI agents I've dealt with. This agent in charge has communicated to me, well, everybody from the FBI is going to perform like me. And I was like, wow, no narcissist there. Just predicting everybody is going to perform based on your intelligence level. And again, it's real easy and obvious to see this agent and the way they look at things. And they weren't doing this to trick me, is the next point. They're way up here. They put themselves way up here in terms of them being agents. And it's a bunch of fake bullshit. When you understand how heavily they've fucked up, then you understand the self-image they have of them way up here, and me, the little Jew down here. You know, then you understand how fucked up this agent in charge is. And we're talking pathological. It's a fair and honest assessment of the agent in charge, and quite frankly, all of them. All the agents underneath, that's the other one that's been blatantly obvious, have taken on the flavor and quite literally all the disabilities and mental, what's the word here? All the mental retardation of the agent in charge. They're used to doing things a certain way and performing a certain way and being arrogant and know-it-alls and being on this level and in their little Disneyland. This is the reality of their situation. Their little Disneyland, their little bubble in which they all support each other with how they think and view things. And they've remained in that little Disneyland and that little world of narcissism for, easily more than a decade. It looks like 2 decades. For a long time. How much is totally obvious. And then they get a real situation, and instead of, pulling up their boots and hoisting their pants and everything and, being proper agents, what they did is they just performed as they've always performed. Arrogant, not taking a goddamn thing seriously. It was communicated to me at one point, all I do is stalking. I was like, well, no shit, that much is obvious. It's the only thing you can do. Any degree of performing like an agent, in 100 different ways, just absolutely shit-canned all sorts of things. And then from there, having just based on their feelings, having reached all sorts of conclusions, and because the CIA also told them. Then from there, starting to progress and make attempts at understanding my psychology and all sorts of things. It's a no-win situation for them. So they always have problems. They're like a dog chasing their own tail. And I've said it to them over and over and over. And, the agent in charge, all of them, oh, we're finally, we're getting to the bottom of things here. We're making progress. They don't get it. And I've explained it to them over and over and over, and they keep having the same problems over and over and over. Too stupid to literally understand what's being communicated to them. They can't even understand an insult for what it is, because then they're being psychological and clever. They've been doing this thing where they're revealing to me, the different things they understand. And, look, we're agents. Hey, man, you don't have to convince me you're an agent. You're not. You stay right there in your little Disneyland and your little dimension and your little sick self-support group there. And you stay all in your little fucked up world there. And you keep telling yourself that when you fucked up like crazy in regards to all sorts of things, and then you build on top of that. And I'm going to other people, other agents, people with brains. I mean, anybody else is going to be an intelligence upgrade, no matter what. And as soon as I run into a group of agents that know how to be agents, finished for you, just like I've been telling you the entire time. You've communicated to me, well, the FBI, we're all one team. We're a gang. We're all one flavor. Everybody's going to be like me. Everybody's going to listen to my recommended tips. I pointed out to these agents, actually, somebody that's intelligent is going to see right through all sorts of shit here. It's not a matter, but it was interesting to hear, well, they're going to be like me because they're my homies. So they're going to do it my way. And I was like, well, actually, an agent with brains would do all sorts of things differently. So I was like, well, we'll see. But it was interesting to see how this agent in charge is just predicting everybody's going to be my homie. As opposed to, well, actually, agents are going to perform as agents and based on their intelligence level. See, it wasn't based... there was no looking at how other agents are and groups of agents are that I deal with here. It's all, we're one flavor, we're one team, and everybody's going to listen to me, And actually, that's not what I've dealt with. You know, I dealt with good agents. I dealt with intelligent agents. I dealt with agents who are way more intelligent than these people here. I guarantee you that Horvat and her officers back in Germany think and thought and think that these agents are sloppy as shit. You wouldn't see Horvat and her officers making the basic assumptions that these agents here made. Absolutely mind-blowing. Yet these agents have assumed and projected onto the entire FBI, well, they're all going to perform like I have. Wow. They are way up here. They are the best of the best. I'm like, wow, fascinating. Yeah, you should be running the FBI, shouldn't you? You haven't performed as agents. Let's look up the word objective. Hey, here's one for you. How about looking? You couldn't even write a book because you don't even know how to do the fucking research. How's that? Let's start off with those basic points. And let's see if you can tell the truth to the next fucking FBI agents down the road here. Because that's the truth. You felt what to believe instead of finding out and then basing everything on having looked. You don't know what the fucking word objective is. You're fuck-ups. And not everybody from agencies perform the way that you do. You're not the height and pinnacle of agents and agencies. You're the fucking gutter and at the bottom of it. And I would fucking know because I've dealt with tons. Sorry, a little wake-up call for you. And whoops, you better delay me some more here. Fuck you. So, as I was saying, I moved to another town, getting back on track here. I moved to another town in Germany. I returned July 20th, 2014. So really, I was only in America about 7 weeks. And, let's see, hang on. I moved to Berlenbach. I was dealing with a different group of CIA agents because I'm in a different town. And I told them, look, I've got a copy of journal entries on cassette somewhere that proves Horvat and her officers did unauthorized murder with this classified technology. They killed 2 ICE agents February 17th, 2011. They lied about it. They affected me heavily so that I couldn't get the information out to German agents and agencies, to anybody. And I said, hey, I've got it on cassette. So I started going through cassettes, and I listened to about 200, and I found a cassette with real journal entries. Now, one of the things that became obvious to me was that Horvat didn't admit to anything here. She obviously, what she said was, well, the event happened on the 17th, then we gave the innuendos, and then he believed we did it. If it had happened that way, I wouldn't have any proof. The first thing I would think is, well, Horvat's just trying to do a cheap setup. She knows those won't work with me. This is how stupid these people I deal with are. They've believed something that's so fucking retarded about me. And this is the kind of agent in charge I deal with here. It has to be that I am that fucking stupid, because otherwise, this fuck-up fucked up. You understand? So, no profiling on my end of this dumbass. Yeah. Boy, no red flags there in regards to the psychology of this agent in charge. Yeah, whoops. It's a good thing it didn't happen, because otherwise that would be a major tell in regards to your fucking psychology. So those agents stole the cassette. I did an info dump with them in regards to Horvat and her officers. I gave to these CIA agents, even though they stole the cassette, I gave them information for about 2 years. And they lied to German agents and agencies. They said I was resistant and wouldn't let the stalking go. And in reality, they were holding me in. And it finally reached the point I was like, well, I've given you enough information about Horvat and her officers. I want to be free of the stalking, and they weren't doing it. They just kept collecting more information, holding me in, and lying to German agents and agencies. And they lied to the FBI. So I said, fuck this. In August 31st, 2016, I returned to America yet again and to here. And I ended up with the same fucking FBI agents all over again. And do you know why? These agents that I dealt with in Berlenbach, they realized that Horvat and her officers had handpicked, cherry-picked this agent and these agents. They knew they would fuck up. And since they had fucked up with Horvat, these agents in Berlenbach, they said, we're going to pick these agents all over again. Guaranteed, we've got nothing to worry about with these agents. You understand? Sure enough, they got picked all over again. And I was here from August 31st until June 9th of 2017. And once again, these agents didn't learn a goddamn thing. It's always, we're up here, you're the Jew. And this really has been their attitude. Their attitude in terms of where I'm at and where they're at has been, in one way, it's been like dealing with fanatics. There's been an absolute inability to wake up, to realize a goddamn thing, to admit to any fucking mistakes in one way. All of this, for them, this is all lying. And actually, it isn't. And this is one of the things I'm speaking of in regards to these agents. So, everything's got a heavy slant with them. So, you know, I watched a movie a couple of weeks ago. It was about this serial killer in Alaska, based on a true story. The movie was actually pretty good. And, but there was a scene in there, and the witness is a hooker. And there was this one cop, there was one or a couple of them, and they just knew that her word wasn't any good, and she's full of shit, and they don't need to check or listen, and they poo-pooed the other cop or whatever. And they were like, oh, she's a hooker, that's it, end of story. And this guy is not a serial killer, he's an outstanding member of the community. And actually, they were just prejudiced. That's what I deal with here. I was like, this is totally the agents I deal with here. There's this, just a real, it's a dysfunctional, it's a fucked up psychology, and it's self-impairing in regards to themselves and their job performance. And this is all totally on the money. Now they're paying more attention, you know, and let me know, hey, look, we're agents, look at all the stuff you haven't caught here. And I'm like, wow, you know, oh, how interesting and fascinating. Ah, my goodness. Wow, you're agents. You know, and it's all dumb shit. Everywhere where it's counted, they haven't performed like agents in a goddamn bit. They've performed like my mother and father. Just a bunch of goddamn fuck-ups. A lot of basic false assumptions, and then trying to figure out the truth from there, which is impossible. This agent has invented theories which don't exist, yet it looks correct for this agent in charge. So I look forward to dealing with the next agents down the road here, because we're going to have some good laughs in regards to the intelligence level of this agent here. If you decide to double check and cover your ass, which this agent and agents, strangely enough, did not do. So it's a recommended tip for anybody from the FBI here. Cover your own fucking ass, and sure as hell don't go on the mistakes of these dumb assholes. Yes, I did call them assholes, that's correct. So maybe you should take that and just shit can everything I've communicated here, instead of paying attention to the real message. Fascinating, huh? So, these agents have no careers down the road here. But when I saw this scene in the movie, I was like, it's these agents, totally. And, you know, it turned out that she was a witness and that this bad guy was a fucking serial killer. It's just like the dumbasses I deal with now. These cops were just totally prejudiced. They just knew all and, you know, finished. Just a stereotype. Shit. You know, stereotype, throw it in the garbage. It's the same way as, thinking shit about somebody based on skin color or race. You know, there's nothing to that bullshit. But this is how this agent has performed here. I am the Jew, they are the master race. So when I start dealing with the next agents down the road here, take a good look. And my recommended tip is be extremely careful about what you choose to believe in regards to what these agents think and what they have come up with. That's my recommended tip. Do things from the ground up. That's another one. The CIA has lied through their teeth and their file. This guy going by the name of LJ in Berlenbach, he stole that cassette and he lied through his teeth and sold it. Apparently, he sold it as false hope on my end. There was no goddamn false hope. I had a cassette that proved Horvat's guilty. They fucking stole it and they lied about it. And they lied about it in the way that they had to lie about it. End of story. You take a look with your technology, you'll get real readings. They have sold that as, well, I've been tricked into believing it, that's why it registers that way. No, actually, that's the fucking truth, and that's why it reads that way. These dumbasses have chosen to believe lies and files, which is why they shit-can real technology readings. This agent, quite literally, this is another thing that's been going on. This agent has been looking at me based on how they are. Quite literally in regards to all sorts of points. And it's not an accident, it's not a coincidence. Yes, they're looking in a file which is full of fucking lies, but this agent in charge is also projecting and putting themselves onto me here. They are reaching conclusions about me based on their own fucking psychology, and it's all over the place. Fuck you. So, maybe, I don't know, maybe I can get a job at the FBI here. And maybe these agents can get fired down the road here. We'll see what happens here. Anybody who does their job competently and correctly, I guarantee you, you'll be finding out that the CIA got away with a cover-up. I mean, that one's going to be... It's not even difficult to do. I know how to do it. I know how to... There's all sorts of things I can point out here. And the first question the first thing that'll be answered here is, well, the first thing that you'll figure out is, well, these agents were lied to. Then you automatically, you ask yourself, well, why is that? It's because I've been telling the truth. That means that Horvat and her officers are guilty. This is so easy to expose. It's absolutely mind-boggling how stupid and incompetent these agents have been here. And I've told them the entire way. But they've been too busy laughing instead of doing their jobs. Free money. It's free money. It's free paychecks from the FBI for these dumbasses. You know. Hurts their brains to do any real thinking and to practice any of the training which they shit-canned years ago. Maybe they've forgotten how. But they have not performed as agents. At least not like agents I've dealt with. They've performed incompetently. So let's see. I went back to Germany June 9th, 2017. Took Valium for the flight. That video is up at my channel. Valium and red wine, that's the only way to fly, I think it's titled. A fun video to look at. And I got fucked by the CIA all over again. I got hijacked by LJ and stuck in his hometown so that he could collect more information. Started lying about me all over again. I predicted all of this would happen to these dumbasses here. That's another thing they've been absolutely unable to do, is separate themselves from the CIA here. They're busy being team members and all part of the group and cozy gang here, as opposed to figuring out that the CIA has absolutely nothing to do with these agents here. They did a cover-up. They all lied through their teeth to these agents here. That's exactly what happened. CIA is doing a full investigation in regards to Horvat and her officers. These agents were too busy shit-canning things and too busy not finding out to know any better, and yet they claim to know. So They felt what to believe, and there's no backing away from it. That is how they have done their decision making here. They have not bothered finding out a damn thing. They remain absolutely clueless to the real level I am on. That's another one which I find very funny. They've been claiming I'm sloppy and stupid, and they've gotten away with a few things here, but quite frankly, I'm not worried about much of it. They've fucked up a lot of people's plans, mine, the CIA's. It's the one thing they're good at is fucking up. So it's the one thing they're good at. That's been another one. This agent in charge has been looks at everybody as being colleagues, like a gang, friendly, cozy gang here, and in reality, what you got is a cover-up by agents for agents, and the situation's very, very serious. And these agents, this is the one profession in the world where you would think agents, it's the one profession in the world where you would expect people to be cautious and objective and to find out. Everybody has this image in their head of how agents will and would perform. And quite literally, that's how everybody thinks these agents have performed. And that is an absolute, it's not a laughable joke. It is an absurd, fantastic fucking lie. And it's a lie which these agents have perpetuated and sold to everybody. And the reality is they are the biggest bunch of fuck-ups in the world. The CIA is not their friends. They should have been questioning of the CIA. They should have had their eyes open. They should have found out my side of the story, and they haven't done any of that. This is agents? A fucking cop can do better than this. At least cops, they do the goddamn legwork. So what these agents claim, what comes out of their mouth, is very different than reality. That's why the field agents I've been in touch with, I tell them, and I've said it over and over, be your own agent. You got to do what you got to do, but it doesn't mean you got to believe what you're told. This shit of going on other people's mistakes, that's it. I'm all done with fucking idiots. You can totally believe it. I'm fucking full with this agency bullshit like your agents. Therefore, that's it. I'm an agent. And, okay, it's just whatever I feel like believing, that's the way it is. Like you're some kind of god. I watched German agents and agencies fuck up. These agents brought up with me, well, we're in good hands. We're in good shape here. Look at German agents and agencies. And I was like, well, that's funny. You're comparing yourself to somebody else who fucked up royally. You would compare yourself to somebody else who has performed on your fucking level. So, I speak of intelligent people here performing their job and as they were trained to. And that's another thing which I might as well bring up here. I've noticed that agents doing stalking, you all are like the meter maids of agencies. That's something I came up with years ago, and it's based on observation. Your ability to perform as agents and to handle a serious situation correctly has been absolutely fucking dismal. So, we'll see what happens here down the road. But for any agents willing to take a look, you will be pleasantly surprised. You not only will be pleasantly surprised, you will be absolutely fucking surprised out of your minds in regards to all sorts of things. It's not difficult to prove that these agents were lied to, that they were manipulated. They made it child's play for the CIA. That's the next point. Anybody looking for a career, I will get you a promotion, no doubt. I don't doubt it for a moment. It's just like I've told these agents over and over and over, they've got no more careers. And it's, you know, it's not hard to figure out. They've got technology on me. And when you find out how heavily they fucked up here, when you find out what's really been going on, then you will get that. These agents killed my uncle just a few months ago here. And based on them not having found out. And again, this gets down to the agent in charge, who feels what to believe instead of looking and covering their ass and making sure and basing their opinion and their thinkings on having looked and checked in the first place. So these agents are agents on paper, and they say, well, we're agents, and therefore that's it. End of story. Well, that's good. Good for you. But you did not perform your job correctly here. I tried contacting the FBI, going over these agents, one of the times I was here before. Think back in 2014. And it did not happen. So, and because these agents, their opinion of their performance here is a joke. So, this guy, LJ, he did look. He put it in his file a certain way, and he did look. One of the things Horvat and her officers were hoping for was everybody falling like one chain of dominoes. In other words, if she could get me red flagged here, then nobody would ever look after that. That's what Horvat wanted. And she tricked German agents and agencies royally. And take a look at these agents here saying, well, look at how German agents and agencies performed. The reality is nobody has fucking looked. That's reality. So what is this bullshit that's passing for logic with agents and agencies here? And you are selling something else to the public and to the citizens here. You're telling people you know when you haven't even fucking looked. These dumb assholes are quoting other people who have fucked up just as royally as they have. Actually, these agents are even worse because they have technology on me. So, for anybody that looks here, you will be absolutely bombed out of your minds. And like I said, it's easy to prove that these agents were lied to. And I've got all sorts of recommended tips. I've told these agents over and over, put this in your file, put that in your file, this over here, that one, put that one in, and, you know, so somewhere in the file, there are all sorts of good tips. I know how to reverse engineer the cover-up. Of course I do. I was in the fucking middle of it, and I was used for doing it. Slight details like that you might want to look at before you go shit-canning what it is I'm in the middle of here. So, okay, this video is long. I'm going to end here.